again, my dear students. This is Rodrigo Lazo Campo, your English teacher, talking to you one more time. Welcome back to EasEnglish. And I want to say that this is lesson 46. Lesson 46 in Curso Debutante number 1. It is very nice for me to be talking to you again. And the title of this lesson is What Lives Here? What lives here? Para empezar, quiero ayudarles a entender el título de tal manera que podamos comprender el cuerpo de la lección. Let me do it. Podemos notar que el título What Lives Here? What lives here? Está formulado en forma de pregunta. Y esa pregunta empieza con la palabra what. What. Esta palabra forma parte de un grupo de palabras a las que se les llama question words. Question words, que son usadas para formular este tipo de enunciados. A question. What lives here? A question. Y what se emplea cuando queremos preguntar acerca de a thing or an object que ejecuta la acción. A thing or an object. La acción aquí está representada por lives. Ya le explicaré el sentido, el significado de lives. Aquí no se sabe este thing o este object que lives here. Lives. También se usa cuando queremos preguntar acerca de an action. Se desconoce an action. O también cuando se desconoce esa cosa que complementa la acción del verbo. Ahora paso a explicarle la palabra lives. Live is a synonym of reside. Reside or inhabit in a place permanently. To live or to reside or to inhabit in a place permanently. For example, I can say that I live in Hamundi. I live in Hamundi, Valle, Colombia. I live in Hamundi, Valle, Colombia. I can also say that I live in a big house. I live in a big house. Do you live in a house or in an apartment? This is my question for you. Do you live in a house or in an apartment? I live in a house. Where do you live? Do you live in Bogota? Let me write this other question. Do you live in Bogota? Or probably, do you live in Costa Rica? Where do you live? Where do you live? Como aquí no sé el place donde usted live, ya no estoy usando what, sino where, porque lo que desconozco es el place where do you live. ¿Ok? Lo que ahora me interesa es que usted entienda, comprenda ¿Qué es live? Espero que lo haya logrado. Y ahora quiero contarle que la palabra here se refiere a un lugar. Y ese lugar es aquel donde el hablante se encuentra en el momento en que habla. Yo estoy ahora en Jamundí. Y para referirme a Jamundí, yo digo here. Here in Jamundí, there are many people. Here in Jamundí, there are many motorcycles and scooters. The people here in Jamundí are very nice. Entonces se refiere a un place, a place. Y ese place está very near me, very nearby, very near to me. Okay? The place is very near to me, very near. O exactamente donde yo estoy, here. Well, let's begin. Animals live here. Animals live here. Here, in this place. Animals live in this place. Animals live here. And we can see some animals. Bears. This looks like a bear. A deer. Fish. And a frog. We can say that animals live in many places. Animals live in many places. Animals live in many places. Animals live here. Animals live in many places. A bear. This is a bear. This is a deer. This is a frog. These are fish. And this is a bear too, I think. A bear. A bear lives here. A bear lives here. Here. In this place. A bear lives in this place. A bear lives here. Y voy a llamarle a ese place por su nombre. A bear lives in a cave. Cave. This is a cave. A bear lives here, in a cave. A bear lives in a cave. Let's move on. This is a deer. A deer. A deer lives here. Here, in this place. A deer lives here. Y voy a llamarle por su nombre al lugar where a deer lives. A deer lives in a prairie or a forest. Prairie or forest. This is a prairie, or maybe this is a forest. A deer lives in a prairie or in a forest. Next, a fish. This is a fish. A fish lives here. A fish lives here. 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 In this place. A fish lives here. A fish lives in water. This is water. A fish lives in water. Let me write this. A fish lives in water. frog. This is a frog. A frog. A frog lives here in this place. A frog lives in this place. A frog lives here. This place is called a pond. So I can say that a frog lives on a pond. Okay, a pond. And this is a lily pad. This part of a plant here is a lily pad. Worm. This is a worm. This is a worm. Worm. A worm. A worm lives here. A worm lives here. Here. A worm lives here. A worm lives on the ground. On the ground. Esta superficie se llama the ground, donde usted pone los pies, the ground. O también, en algunos casos, puedo decir que a worm lives under the ground. Okay. Sometimes a worm lives under the ground. Let's move on. Bee. This is a bee. Bee. Zzz. A bee. This is a bee. A bee lives here. 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 A bee lives in this place. And this is a hive. And a hive is in a tree. This is a tree. So I can say that a bee lives on a hive. A hive. This is a hive. A hive. Or maybe I can also say that a bee sometimes lives in a tree. In a tree. A bee lives in a tree. In a tree. This is a tree. And to finish with, in this picture I can see a child. I am not sure whether this child is a boy or a girl. This is a child. A child lives here. Here, in this place. And this place is a house, or probably an apartment. So I can say that a child lives in a house or an apartment. Or maybe in other facilities, not necessarily only these two. A child lives here, here, here. A child lives in a house or an apartment. Okay? Now let's move on to the activities. We are going to have 4 activities in this lesson, and this is activity number 1. This activity consists in sorting out the pictures, sorting out, making groups, classifying these animals into groups. There are 9 animals. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 animals. And every animal lives somewhere, lives in a place. So we are going to sort the animals out depending on where they live. Where they live. First, we are going to name the animals. We are going to give the name to each of the animals. And after that, we are going to say where each animal lives. And according to that, we are going to put them into a group. Let's do it. Well, I have named each of the animals in the pictures. So this is a bird. Here is a cat. This is a dog. This is an elephant. This is a fish. Here is a rabbit. Here is a shark. This is a squirrel. And last, here is a turtle or turtle. Now, let's talk about where each animal lives. A bird lives in the air and in trees. A cat lives in houses. A cat lives on the ground. Not in the air, not in trees, but on the ground. A dog is normally a pet, so pets live in houses. But because they don't live in the air or in trees, they live on the ground. An elephant also lives on the ground. A fish lives in water. A rabbit lives on the ground, normally on the grass. A shark lives in water in the ocean, not in rivers, not in lakes, not in ponds, not in tanks, but in the ocean. A squirrel lives in trees, and a turtle lives either in water or on the ground. Now I'm going to write the sentences saying where each animal lives. Give me a minute, I'm going to write that. Here you are. A bird lives in the air and in trees. A cat lives in a house on the ground, because a cat is a pet. So a cat does not live in the air or in trees. A dog lives in a house too. An elephant lives on the ground in a forest. A fish lives in water, either in a river, a lake, a tank, or in the ocean. A rabbit lives on the ground in the field. A shark lives in water in the ocean. A squirrel lives in trees. And a turtle lives in water or on the ground. Esto usted lo puede decir una y otra vez. Puede leerlo una y otra vez. From the description in this activity, we have different kinds of animals. Animals that live in the air, animals that live in trees, animals that live in water, and animals that live on the ground. Según estos, vamos entonces a sort out these animals into groups. Let me do it. Here are the groups. I have sorted out the animals into 3 groups. Muy probablemente usted también lo hizo y hemos coincidido. Si no coincidimos, there is no problem. Okay? So here we can see 3 groups. One group of animals that live in trees, one group of animals that live on the ground, and the last group, the one of animals that live in water. Okay? So we can make 3 sentences about these animals. Sentence number 1. A bird and a squirrel live in trees. Sentence number 2. An elephant, a cat, a rabbit, and a dog live on the ground. Sentence number 3. A shark, a fish, and a turtle live in water. Note usted que en los enunciados de acá de la izquierda he usado lives. A bird lives in the air. A cat lives in a house. A dog lives in a house. An elephant lives on the ground. A fish lives in water. A rabbit lives on the ground. A shark lives in water. A squirrel lives in trees. A turtle lives in water. Mientras que en los enunciados de la derecha he usado la forma live. Lives on the left versus live on the right. ¿Y por qué? Mire, a bird and a squirrel live in trees. An elephant, a cat, a rabbit, and a dog live on the ground. A shark, a fish, and a turtle live in water. Es clara la diferencia. Aquí uso live porque se está refiriendo en cada enunciado a 2 o más animals. Lives versus live. Eso explica la diferencia del uso de lives y de live. Y eso es válido para casi todos los verbos en inglés. Vamos a ver esto reflejado muchísimas veces a partir de ahora. Okay? Let's move on to the next activity. Here is activity number 2. And in here there is a chart with 3 columns and some pictures. In these pictures we can see animals. And this activity consists in pasting under the headings the pictures of animals that live in there. Animals that live in trees, animals that live on the ground, and animals that live in water. Usted puede ver los animales aquí. Entonces puede proceder a decir, a determinar, a decidir where each animal lives, whether it lives in trees, on the ground, or in water. Usted puede decirlo y yo lo voy a hacer. Luego compara lo que usted pensó y dijo, hágalo en inglés, escríbalo en inglés y luego comparará con lo que yo hago. Here we are. In this picture, we can see bees. And we can say that bees live in trees. Here, in this picture, we can see worms. And in this picture, we can see a deer. We can then say that a deer and worms live on the ground. And in the last picture, we can see a fish. And we can say that fish lives in water. Ahora voy a escribir los enunciados. Escríbalos usted también, por favor. Here are the sentences. Sentence number 1 reads, bees live in trees. Sentence number 2 reads, worms and deer live on the ground. And sentence number 3 reads, fish live in water. Nótese que acá ya estoy hablando en plural. Ya no digo a bee lives in trees. He dicho bees live in trees. Estoy hablando de todas las bees en general. Luego he hablado de worms. Ya no he dicho a worm. Digo worms and deer live on the ground. Worms, this is plural. Y vemos que deer es la misma forma para singular y plural. Yo puedo decir a deer, two deer, three deer, four deer, etc. Y finalmente, fish es la forma para singular o para plural. Pero usted también puede decir fishes en plural. Fishes. Fishes. Puede decir fishes en plural o fish. Entonces aquí puede decir fishes live in water or fish live in water. ¿Coincide con lo que usted había escrito? Pasemos a la siguiente actividad. Well, this is activity number 3, and we can see the letter H here, capital H or uppercase H, and little h or lowercase h. This activity is about the initial sound of words. Words whose initial sounds is that of H. Ha, ha, ha. Que suena como la J del español, lo expliqué en una lección anterior. Entonces yo voy a decir los nombres que corresponden a estos objetos y usted escuchará y podrá identificar cuáles nombres begin in the H sound. Listen, please. House, house, flower, flower, barn, barn, star, star. Note que no digo estar. El sonido inicial de esta palabra es la S. S. Star. Star. Horse. Horse. Hammer. Hammer. Lion. Lion. Heart. Heart. And pig. Pig. A continuación voy a escribir los nombres que acabo de decir para cada objeto y sobre la línea del centro, debajo de cada dibujo, escribiré the letters capital H and little h, donde una palabra empiece con el sound. Sound. Let me do it. Here you are. This is a house. House begins in H. This is a flower. Flower does not begin in H. This is a barn. Barn does not begin in H. This is a star. Star does not begin in H. This is a horse. Horse begins in H. This is a hammer. Hammer begins in H. This is a lion. Lion does not begin in H. This is a heart. Heart begins in H. This is a pig. Pig does not begin in H. Now let me write the sentences about words that begin in H, in the H sound, and words that do not begin in the H sound. House, horse, hammer, and heart begin in the H sound. And flower, barn, star, lion, and pig do not begin in the H sound. Let's say that again. House, horse, hammer, and heart begin in the H sound. Flower, barn, star, lion, and pig do not begin in the H sound. Is that right? Let's keep going. Well, this is the last activity in this lesson, activity number 4. We can see 2 pictures, and in each picture there is an animal. Here is a frog, and here is a bear. And below the pictures there are some words, and these words are intended for us to make 2 sentences. One sentence about picture 1, let me write picture 1, and a sentence about picture 2. So we should say where a bear lives and where a frog lives, right? And we are supposed to use these words. Usando estas palabras vamos a escribir a sentence about this and a sentence about this. Supongo que usted ya descubrió el orden de las palabras y descubrió cada sentence. Escríbalas, yo las escribiré a continuación y usted comparará lo que yo haga con lo que usted hará. ¿De acuerdo? Hagámoslo. Here are the 2 sentences. A bear lives here. A frog lives here. ¿Es igual a lo que usted hizo? Y creo que usted escribió el period. Yo no lo he escrito, pero usted debió escribirlo. Period at the end. Where does a bear live? A bear lives in a cave. Where does a frog live? A frog lives in a pond. Okay? Well, my dear students, I think that's all for today. It's been nice to talk to you again. Goodbye.